500,000 years ago, the galaxy was young and full of ambition. Among the stars, the Vailari, an ancient and advanced alien species, ruled as scientists, philosophers, and architects of life. Unlike their warlike neighbors or isolationist cousins, the Vailari saw themselves as gardeners of evolution. They traveled from world to world, seeding life, guiding it gently, watching civilizations bloom or fail. Earth was one of their final experiments. Orbiting in a sleek organic vessel, shaped like a crescent moon, a Vailari expedition observed Earth's teeming wildlife. It was primitive but promising. Among the hominid species wandering the plains of Africa, one strain of Homo showed a flicker of potential: adaptability, social cohesion, curiosity. These traits, the Vailari believed, could be amplified. With subtle genetic nudges, they uplifted this early human ancestor and set the timeline in motion. The plan was simple: depart and return in 500,000 Earth years. This would allow the natural rhythms of evolution to unfold without direct interference. The Vailari were bound by the ancient edicts of observation, universal laws prohibiting manipulation beyond the seeding phase. The Vailari believed true intelligence could only be proven if it emerged unaided. Before departing, they left a cloaked monitoring satellite in geostationary orbit. This machine would record the rise or fall of humanity and beam compressed summaries back to Vailari archives. For the Vailari, time passed differently. 500,000 years was nothing more than a chapter in their long lives. As the Vailari departed, they logged Earth's state: primitive language, stone tools, fire. A promising start. Back in the Vailari homeworld, a Velcor centuries passed. Other projects failed or succeeded. One species destroyed itself with nuclear war before reaching space. Another stagnated in eternal peace, never evolving beyond tribal society. Earth was largely forgotten until something unusual occurred. Roughly 380,000 years into the monitoring cycle, the orbital satellite stopped transmitting. Vailari scientists noted the failure but dismissed it. Perhaps it had decayed, or the species had died off and the probe powered down due to inactivity. A single glitch in a minor experiment. Still, a record was made. When the 500,000-year mark approached, a small science vessel was scheduled for return. Its mission: retrieve data, observe the current evolutionary state, and determine whether humanity warranted uplift, containment, or termination. The ship, Vailari Ascendant, set a slow course for Earth, piloted by Archon Kexil, an elder of logic and tradition. He expected a quiet world. Perhaps tribes still roaming savannas, or at best a species on the cusp of agriculture. In his mind, this was routine. Predictable. What Kexil didn't know, what no Vailari could imagine, was that, in their absence, Earth had birthed something different. Something violent, chaotic, creative, and terrifyingly fast. Humanity had not waited to be discovered. They had already found the stars, and when the Vailari returned, the Watchers would become the watched. The Vailari Ascendant emerged from faster-than-light slipspace just beyond the orbit of Neptune. Ancient and regal in design, the ship shimmered with biometallic hull plating, its tendrils humming with energy as it prepared to descend through the Sol system. Inside, Archon Kexil stood at the helm, gazing through the observation canopy at the pale blue dot in the distance: Earth, the long-forgotten experiment. After 500,000 years, the cycle had completed. The Vailari had returned, ready to evaluate their creation and file it away like so many others. But as the ship's systems calibrated, something strange occurred. The ship's sensors lit up, not with the gentle signatures of a pre-industrial society, but with dense, structured energy fields. Thousands of artificial satellites orbited Earth in complex layers. Several emitted faint gravitational ripples, evidence of manipulation beyond fusion, possibly tapping quantum fields. A shipyard floated near the moon, half-cloaked, its size rivaling the Vailari vessel. Kexil frowned. "This is wrong," he muttered, tapping into the ship's records. Humanity, according to Vailari projections, should have been using fire and wooden tools, perhaps experimenting with farming. Instead, Earth was blanketed in digital signals, pulsing with encoded data at wavelengths even Vailari systems had to decode manually. More troubling, the probe they'd left behind, once cloaked in orbit, was missing. Kexel ordered a fresh sweep. The ship's quantum AI deployed long-range drones cloaked and fast. One zipped toward Earth's upper atmosphere, but before it even breached the ionosphere, it vanished. No explosion, no trace. It was simply gone. Alarms whispered across the Vailari bridge. Interference, jammed channels. A subtle but deliberate force had just neutralized one of their most advanced tools. Kexel, still calm, dismissed it as an anomaly. Perhaps human forces had unknowingly developed rudimentary defensive tech, some stray electromagnetic cannon or accidental targeting system. Still, curiosity outweighed caution. Kexel authorized a diplomatic approach. A contact protocol was initiated, following the ancient procedure used when meeting newly ascended species. A small delegation shuttle was dispatched, bearing peace emblems etched in universal harmonic code. Symbols, recognized across dozens of galaxies. Kexel watched from orbit, awaiting standard welcome or confusion. What greeted the Vailari shuttle instead was something entirely different. The delegation landed in a stratospheric docking ring, part of a vast, towering arcology that stretched beyond the clouds. Constructed from seamless alloys and nanostructures unknown even to the Vailari, it was clearly artificial, intentional, and, most disturbingly, beautiful. Waiting at the arrival platform was Director Calix Ray, a human. She stood tall, her eyes glowing faintly with neural augmentation, her presence calm and unbothered. Around her, drones hovered silently. Behind her, a wall of transparent displays showed starscapes, system maps, and, unmistakably, the approaching Vailari ship. "Welcome home," she said with a polite smile. "We've been expecting you." Kexel froze. The humans knew they were coming. The humans were waiting. And judging by Calix's tone and bearing, they weren't afraid. The Vailari weren't observing an infant species anymore. They had returned to find a civilization that had outgrown its creators. One that had discovered its origins and forged its own future. Unassisted, uncontrolled, and that was only the beginning. Director Calix Ray led the Vailari delegation through the towering halls of the Aetherispire, the core of Earth's orbital megastructure. Smooth, glass-like floors shimmered underfoot, reflecting cityscapes and orbital stations stretching beyond. The curvature of the planet. The air was perfectly tempered, gravity tuned, every surface responsive. And yet, none of it felt designed to impress. It simply was. The Vailari moved with regal grace, but their silence betrayed confusion. Their most advanced constructs were still biological in nature, living ships, organic processors, and terraforming spores. But what they saw now was a marriage of engineering and elegance so advanced it felt alien to them. They had not expected this. Inside the central chamber, Calix gestured toward a panoramic display. Earth rotated slowly beneath them, wrapped in a vast mesh of satellites, orbital rings, energy conduits, and shimmering defense lattices. Faint jumps of light flickered from distant points in space, ships arriving and departing through stabilized wormholes. Humanity wasn't confined to Earth. They had expanded. "Your probe stopped transmitting 120,000 years ago," Calix began, her voice steady. "By then, we had already found it, and studied it." Archon Kexel, the Vailari leader, narrowed his eyes. "You were aware of us?" Calix nodded. "We discovered hints in ancient strata. Carbon anomalies, isotopic residues, gravitational traces too precise to be natural. We didn't know what you were at first, but once we pieced it together, we understood. We were made, engineered, monitored." The Vailari delegation shifted uncomfortably. For millennia, they had viewed themselves as mentors to the galaxy. This was the first time their own creation looked them in the eye with equality, and perhaps superiority. "We considered waiting," Calix continued. We could have halted progress, delayed discovery, but instead, we chose to outrun you. She turned and with a gesture summoned holographic timelines. Wars, alliances, breakthroughs, dark centuries, and golden ages. Humanity had climbed out of the mud, fallen, risen again, and then vaulted into the stars. And at every step, the knowledge that they were created had burned like a spark in their collective soul. They had been someone's project, someone's experiment, so they decided to rewrite the rules. Kexel stepped forward, his voice low and thoughtful. You defied the structure we laid. You were meant to develop naturally. Measured growth, guidance, controlled uplift. Calix raised an eyebrow. Controlled by whom? Beings who left us for 500,000 years? You gave us a push and abandoned the experiment. What did you expect? Gratitude? Kexil faltered. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by a species that, by all rights, should still be hurling spears. Calix's tone softened, but her words cut deeper. You see, we learned early on that if we were someone's creation, then so be it, but we would never be someone's property. She stepped closer. We weren't just made by you, we were forged by struggle, war, curiosity, failure, and the moment we learned the truth, we stopped being your experiment. Behind her, the holographic projection expanded, revealing not just Earth, but human-settled systems, alliances, artificial planets, and even Dyson swarm projects in progress. We are not your children, she said. We are your successors. The Vailari said nothing. For the first time in eons, they understood fear, not of destruction, but of irrelevance. The Vailari delegation, once poised as the supreme creators, now sat silently in the grand chamber of the Ethraspire. Director Calix Ray's words had shaken the very foundation of their beliefs. Humanity wasn't just a passive experiment. They had rewritten the destiny the Vailari had intended. Calix moved to a large holographic console and tapped it lightly. The displays changed to reveal a striking collection of artifacts. Recovered alien probes, data cores, fragments of Vailari technology. They were carefully catalogued in a vast subterranean archive known simply as the Vault of Echoes. This, she said, is your legacy on Earth. The Vailari elders leaned in, their eyes narrowing. The artifacts were more than relics. They were evidence that humans had not only found their creators' tools, but had mastered and surpassed them. For centuries, our scientists studied your probes, Calix explained. Reverse engineering your technology wasn't simple. It was dangerous. Entire research stations collapsed under the strain of attempting to integrate Vailari biotech with human systems. But we persisted. Kexil's expression darkened. You have turned our gifts into weapons. We turned them into progress, Calix replied. The Vailari left us a starting point, but no map. We built our own path, sometimes by destroying what we found, sometimes by reimagining it. A holographic map displayed the galaxy, highlighting over 40,000 star systems colonized or influenced by humanity. These systems formed the Helion Concord, a sprawling human-led alliance of species and worlds. The Vailari watched in disbelief. Their own empire, ancient and vast, was now overshadowed by this rising power. You speak of conquest, Archon Kexil said carefully, yet you hide behind alliances. You are no longer mere subjects of an experiment. You claim sovereignty, yet you owe your origin to us. Calix smiled, but it was not a warm expression. Origin is a fact. Sovereignty is a choice. And we chose to govern ourselves. She paused and then pressed a sequence on the console. Instantly a recording played. Old Vailari edicts, the edicts of observation that forbade interference, were projected in a glowing script. For eons, your people hid behind these laws, using non-interference to justify abandonment. You left us to grow or die on our own. We survived. We thrived. Without your guidance. The Vailari shifted uncomfortably. Their pride as creators clashed with the undeniable truth. Humanity had not only survived, but had outpaced them. Calix's voice hardened. When your probes, When silent, we did not collapse into chaos. Instead, we adapted, innovated, and built a future you never imagined. And now, she added, we stand at a crossroads. We do not seek war, but we will defend our sovereignty. You will not dictate our fate. The chamber fell into tense silence. Suddenly, an emergency alert interrupted the moment. Vailari scouts detected a massive fleet mobilizing near the outer edges of the solar system, reinforcements sent by the Vailari High Council. Kexel's eyes hardened. It seems our council did not appreciate this reunion. Calix's calm returned. Then they will learn. Earth is no longer a cradle. It is a fortress. The Vailari had returned expecting a fledgling species. Instead, they found an empire. Humanity had grown without them, defied them, and now held a power that could challenge even the ancient Vailari. For the first time, the creators faced the possibility of extinction, not by destruction, but by irrelevance. The approaching Vailari reinforcements, vast and ominous, were no ordinary fleet. These were the enforcers of the High Council, the ancient ruling body that governed Vailari doctrine and the laws of interstellar conduct. Their mission was clear: to reclaim Earth, suppress any signs of human independence, and, if necessary, reset the experiment by extinguishing the so-called rogue species. Archon Kexel and Director Calix Ray stood together in the command bridge of the Aethrospire, facing a crisis neither had fully anticipated. Though on opposite sides of this encounter, they shared an uneasy understanding. The coming conflict would reshape the galaxy. Calix addressed her command crew with calm. Resolve. Our defenses are advanced, but this is more than a test of technology. It's a battle for our identity. Humanity had spent millennia turning Earth from a fragile cradle into a bastion of innovation and resilience. Their technology blended, organic and mechanical, creating symbiotic systems that healed themselves and adapted rapidly. The Helion conquered fleet, numbering thousands of vessels prepared to defend not just Earth, but the sprawling human colonies that stretched across dozens of star systems. The Vailari fleet, sleek and silent, glided through space like shadows, their weapons poised to impose ancient will. But they underestimated the fire born from humanity's history, fueled by centuries of struggle, betrayal, and a burning desire for freedom. The battle began near the Kuiper Belt, where Vailari vessels attempted to disable Earth's orbital defenses with precision strikes. However, humanity's rapid response systems, driven by advanced AI and human ingenuity, launched countermeasures that overwhelmed the invaders. Shields flickered and rebounded, cloaking fields scrambled sensors, and counter-swarm drones swarmed, Vailari ships with relentless ferocity. On the command deck, Calix coordinated both the tactical defense and diplomatic channels. We offer peace, she broadcast in multiple languages, including Vailari's ancient tongue. We seek recognition as a sovereign species, not subjugation as an experiment. Kexel, watching the battle unfold, struggled with conflicting loyalties. The Vailari Council demanded obedience. Their laws were sacred. Yet here stood a species born of their hands, defiant and thriving. Could they enforce control over such a force without igniting a war that could consume countless worlds? Amidst the chaos, a breakthrough occurred. Human scientists unlocked a dormant Vailari technology, the chronoresonator, capable of briefly bending time fields to anticipate enemy maneuvers. Using this advantage, human fleets predicted Vailari attack patterns and executed counterattacks that crippled several command ships. The Vailari, shocked by this display, realized humanity had not only mastered their gifts, they had transformed them. It was clear, this was no longer an experiment. This was evolution. Faced with mounting losses and the unyielding spirit of their creation, the Vailari High Council hesitated. Kexel seized this moment to propose negotiations. We must find a path forward, he said gravely. Not as masters and subjects, but as equals, Calix nodded. Recognition, respect, and coexistence. That is the future we offer. Though tentative, the ceasefire took hold. Both sides withdrew to their respective stations, pondering what this new era might hold. The galaxy watched in silence. The ancient Vailari Empire, once the undisputed architects of life, had met its match. Humanity had risen, not as a child of their creation, but as a new power in the cosmos. The question now was clear. Would the Vylari accept this new order, or would the struggle for control continue, casting a shadow over the future of the stars? The ceasefire held, fragile, yet significant. Across the sprawling expanse of the galaxy, the unexpected rise of humanity as a sovereign power sent ripples through ancient alliances and empires. The Vylari High Council convened in their floating citadel, a blend of living crystal and bioorganic spires, to deliberate the fate of their oldest experiment, and now their most formidable successor. Archon Kexel stood before the council, advocating for a new vision. We have witnessed what humanity has become, not mere subjects but creators in their own right. To deny them recognition is to deny the future itself. Yet many elders remained bound to tradition, fearing loss of control and status. They are still children of our design, one elder hissed. They cannot be allowed to lead. Outside the council chamber, the galaxy stirred with anticipation. Human diplomats and Vylari emissaries worked tirelessly to draft a treaty that would acknowledge humanity's sovereignty while preserving fragile peace. Back on Earth, Director Calix Ray addressed the people. We are no longer hidden beneath the shadow of our creators. We stand in the light of our own making. Our future is ours to shape, not dictated by those who abandoned us, but forged by our own hands. The treaty, named the Pact of the New Dawn, marked a historic turning point. It recognized humanity as a full member of the interstellar community, granting them rights to their territories, resources, and governance. In return, humanity pledged to uphold intergalactic laws and to assist in maintaining peace. But peace was only the beginning. Humanity had learned much from its creators, but had also learned the value of independence, innovation, and resilience. Their technology, a blend of Vylari bioengineering and human ingenuity, blossomed in new directions. They pushed the boundaries of space exploration, terraforming, and artificial intelligence. Calix spearheaded an ambitious project, the Stellar Nexus Initiative, a network of quantum-linked colonies across the galaxy designed to foster cooperation among diverse species and promote scientific advancement. It was a beacon of hope and a testament to humanity's vision. Meanwhile, the Vylari began to transform themselves. No longer the distant creators who commanded from above, they sought partnership and mutual growth. Younger generations of Vylari studied human history and culture, inspired by their creativity and adaptability. Yet challenges remained. Some factions within the Vylari opposed the treaty, plotting in the shadows to reclaim Earth by force. Similarly, humans wary of Vylari influence prepared defenses against any future betrayal. In a quiet moment aboard the Aethraspire, Calix and Kexel met to reflect on the journey that brought them here. We began as creators in creation, Kexel mused, but now we walk as equals. Calix smiled. The past shapes us, but it does not bind us. Together we can write a new story, one not of dominance or abandonment, but of unity and hope. As stars flickered beyond the viewport, the two leaders understood the truth. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries. Humanity's awakening was not an end, but a beginning. A new era where no species would rule alone, and where cooperation could unlock the universe's deepest secrets. The future belonged to all, but humanity had claimed its rightful place among the stars.